On the surface, this never-before-seen footage from Amber Heard's 2016 deposition looks like another arrogant celebrity lawyering up. But in fact, it's a comprehensive catalog of body language signals of an extremely toxic behavior, as you're about to find out. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. The first clip you're gonna see is important because it sets the tone with two emotional displays that will establish what we are dealing with here.
Isn't it true that you've been previously arrested for committing domestic violence against your spouse?
I'm gonna object. Irrelevant.
Well, just in case you're not aware, duping delight is a subtle expression when someone is proud of getting away with something. Maybe manipulating someone or evading responsibilities or not being punished for reckless behavior. But first, we see a mocking gesture in which Amber opens her mouth to answer, but she's just waiting for her lawyer to interrupt. But she gets to show her tongue in a very disgusting way that must not have been comfortable at all for the person asking the question. I'm gonna give you a clue about the next clip. Try to pay attention to the volume of her voice and the amount of tension on her face and see if they match.
That no domestic violence ever occurred, and my ex has stated such. In fact, it was so ridiculous, those
Yes, if you just listen to this clip, that first covert anger display will go unnoticed. But it's when you combine it with her facial expression that they don't match. She's opening her mouth way too much for that voice volume. Then she displays disgust, turning to her lawyer. You can spot the scrunching of her nose at that exact moment. That's being dismissive to the person who's asking the question, like, they're not worthy of talking to me. What is so interesting about these signs of lack of empathy is that they also spark from a deep insecurity in the person. And the next clip has two signals that are perfect examples of this.
Before, as soon as he found out we were partners, the male cop, not this other woman who's later been brought into the press.
Well, all along the deposition, she shrugged a number of times, but at this precise moment, she did a single shoulder shrug with her left one. That's usually a sign of not being that sure of what she's saying, some insecurity. What's more interesting is that she immediately follows up with a raised chin that signals arrogance, but goes as far as to shaking it at the person, like, tell me, what are you going to do? It's always fascinating when you can witness when a person's body language betrays them or tries to hide whatever they're saying at that moment. Pay attention to Amber's words and eyes in the following clip.
No physical violence, no physical abuse, and zero domestic violence whatsoever between us.
She wants to make a point about not being involved in any physical or domestic violence, but it's funny that she uses the Hannibal Lecter look to emphasize her words. That's a threatening gesture. But she keeps repeating those words and then she turns her head away and closes her eyes for a second. That's a sign that she did not want to keep talking about that topic. I don't know what's the problem if she's got nothing to hide. But now we are entering creepy territory because we have seen Amber speaking with these emotional displays. But what happens in the first part of the next clip is the exact opposite of that.
It was a trumped up charge and it was dropped immediately for being such.
Isn't it a fact, Ms. Heard?
She's making a statement that these charges were exaggerated, and at the same time she talks without moving her head, without blinking, and without much inflection to her voice. What is so unsettling about this is that she is suddenly devoid of emotion. And even worse, just a couple seconds later, there is no way of missing that combination between mocking and arrogance. You start to notice a pattern of lack of empathy, of being absolutely dismissive of the person in front of her. Now, at some point it looks like Amber has that bravado attitude for the sole reason that every question is being blocked over and over again by her lawyer, as you can see in the following clip.
She's already answered what happened. It's
Is that
vague.
true?
It's argumentative.
already-
It's harassing. You just want to, get your harassment in. Go ahead.
Let the record reflect.
She shows a smirk when talking to her lawyer, but with all the signals so far, I really doubt that she feels empathy towards him. She just thinks he's useful, and I won't be surprised if she turns on him sometimes. And I say sometimes because it's like those displays of contempt with a half smile. She realizes that she's showing that emotion and immediately tries to regain composure, but not before everyone has noticed. I don't know about the ability of reproducing human emotions, but I think that Amber sometimes forgets how smiles work, as you can see next.
Reflect Mr.
I just
Carter's
answered.
directing her not to answer. Did you
I
spend the night in
answered you.
jail?
I
Yes.
never said don't answer.
That smile looks so fake for a number of reasons. Previously, she was mocking, saying that she had already answered the questions when she hadn't because her lawyer kept interrupting. But then she displays this emotion with her lip corners almost level with her mouth. In a genuine smile, the lip corners go up. That doesn't happen here, and she's forcing her eye expression. I think this could be some kind of duping delight, but I'd love to know your opinion in the comments. There are also moments when you should be aware of rapid changes in facial displays, such as the next clip that requires to be on your toes.
Isn't it a fact that Tasha Van Ray on September 14th, 2009
Well, the most relevant emotional display here that we haven't seen in the previous clips is that dismissive up-down look. Again, a display of superiority. We still cannot diagnose Amber even with all these signals, but they do confirm a solid lack of empathy for basically anyone that dares to upset her. You have to be careful when you spot signals like this of total lack of empathy because they usually belong to merciless people that can be very, very cruel. Perhaps the best example of a body language reaction to what's being said is showcased in the next clip, and I suggest that you pay attention to both Amber's words and her facial expression.
on September 14th, you broke the necklace off of Tasha Van Ray's neck.
I love this kind of clips because they help you absorb the exact timing of a facial reaction. That split second between hearing the words and the micro-expression that's triggered. In this case, Amber is being asked if she broke the necklace off Tasha Van Ray's neck, and upon hearing those words, she shows duping delight again. That's basically feeling proud that yes, I broke that cheap necklace off her. It's precisely the timing that confirms that this emotional display is authentic and creepy. You can help me spot more clips to analyze following and tagging me on my Twitter or Instagram accounts. And if you want to refine your observation skills, all you have to do is download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and it will always be a pleasure, my body language buddies. Much love and bliss.